Carley was introduced in the first episode of Telltale to Walking Dead as a quick-witted, compatible reporter. From the start, she proved herself to be a valuable asset to the group, sharpening her decisions, skilled with the Glock, and a character that seemed genuinely kind-hearted. Unlike some other characters, Carley didn't bring drama or conflict to the group unnecessarily. She had a strong moral compass, willing to defend those she believed in, but not afraid to call your ass out when necessary. Her bond with Lee stood out because Carley, she was one of the few people who actually trusted Lee, even when she already knew about, what went down between him and the mayor and his wife. But this sense of trust led to what felt like the beginning of a potential romance. I ain't gonna lie. If the player chose to, but everything changed in episode 3, Long Road Ahead. What started as a tension between the group quickly escalated, leading to an infamous confrontation with Lily in a shocking moment that left many people, including myself, a moment that, hell, we didn't even see coming. This bitch, Lily, pulled a gun and...
What the fuck's the problem?
What the fuck, y'all? God damn! God damn! God damn!
What?
Fuck! Fuck!
Carley was gone, just like that. One bullet, one moment, and one of the most trusted, level-headed members of the goddamn group was lost. For many, it was a heart-wrenching scene, not just because Carley was a likable character, but because it felt like her story was just cut short. I mean, it did brought a lot of shock value, but still. For me, Carley's death came out of nowhere. It didn't feel like a narrative conclusion to her arc. It felt abrupt, brutal, and left me wondering what could have been. So why did Carley's death feel so devastating? Aside from the emotional impact, it's because her arc felt unfinished. Carley had proven herself to be trustworthy, had a potential budding romance with Lee, and had started to emerge as a key figure in the group. Her death robbed everybody of seeing what might have become of her if given more time. Unlike characters like Kenny, whose arc spans in multiple episodes and seasons, Carley's story ended in a moment of chaos. Her growth, her potential, and her relationship with Lee all felt like missed opportunities that never even fully explored. And for those who chose to save her, like myself, earlier in the game, it felt even more personal. That choice was meant to have significance, but in the end, it didn't even fucking matter. Carley's fate was sealed no matter what decision you made along the way, along with Doug if you chose to save Doug. Carley's death also had ripple effects throughout the group. Her death marked a turning point, solidifying just how dangerous and unpredictable the world has become. It fueled Lee's distrust of Lily and fractured the group even further. For Clementine, it was another loss in a long list of heartbreaks. Carley had been someone who, like Lee, genuinely cared about her and looked out for her. It was one more reminder of how fleeting relationships could be in this world. So was Carley's death necessary? From a storytelling perspective, it definitely had shock value, showing us that no one is safe. But what is the right choice for her character? That's a question that I still have to debate. Perhaps Carley could have a more fulfilling arc. She could have become a true partner for Lee, or a guiding figure for Clementine. Her role in the group could have deepened the emotional connections everyone had with her and made future losses even more devastating. Instead, her death felt like a missed opportunity, a moment of shock that left everybody wondering what could have been. In the world of Telltale to Walking Dead, Carley she is literal proof that no one is safe. But sometimes certain characters leave us wishing we could have seen more of them. Carley was one of those characters, gone too soon, leaving behind a story that could have been so much more. Doug is introduced early in the game as a resourceful and intelligent member of the group, surviving the zombie apocalypse. His skills with technology and his unwavering loyalty to his friends show that he is a character with depth. Doug demonstrates his ingenuity by using a remote control to distract zombies, proving he can think on his feet. He consistently supports those around him, especially when he's trying to win over the group's trust, particularly during tense moments. But however though, despite these admirable traits, Doug's screen time is limited, which leaves many people feeling that he could have been so much more in Telltale's The Walking Dead. The crazy choice between saving Doug or Carley is one of the most impactful moments in the game. Well, that's count because whether you save one or the other, they both die the same way, so it don't even matter. But anyway, players are forced to choose between two beloved characters at the spot too. But many opt to choose Carley due to her being more of a strong character, and the fact that Doug barely even have any type of dialogue, so people like, you know what, I'm just gonna choose Carley since we know her a little bit more. But had Doug survived though, he could have like formed deeper bonds with other characters, contributing to various storylines that explore trust, survival, and morality. Doug's technical skills could have been pivotal in solving problems the groups faced later on, such as finding resources or even creating strategies against enemies, or hell, even be on some Home Alone type shit and build some goddamn booby traps and stuff like that to trap walkers. You know, that could have been a lot of things he could have done. Hell, he could have been similar to like Mark, but if he survived, if that makes sense. Losing him early on in the story robs the narrative of potential growth and development that Doug could have provided. But just like everybody else in Telltale's The Walking Dead, hell, even The Walking Dead, the TV show, even the nicest of people can even go out. You know, not many people are made for this world. Some people end up dying out of the blue, like Mariana from Telltale's The Walking Dead Season 3. Like, not many characters are going to make it out, and that's understandable and all. But Doug, he could have been like a potentially nice little character. I mean, I wouldn't expect for him to survive longer than he did, but still though. Fans of Telltale's The Walking Dead have speculated on what could have been for Doug if he had lived through the story throughout, from Season 1 all the way to Season 4. There could have been like a dynamic interactions with characters like Lee, Kenny, hell even Marlon of all people, hell even Lily, hell even Javi, hell even Gabe, Jesus, Trip, folks like that with his smartest and all, man. Come on, man, who gonna start that group? Like literally, like Doug is literally like the Shikamaru of Telltale's The Walking Dead if you really think about it, cause he's smart as hell. You know, Doug's survival might have allowed the game to explore themes of teamwork versus individualism more profoundly. The narrative could have benefited from his perspective as a tech-savvy character, ultimately showing how different backgrounds can contribute to survival. Well, that's it. Nothing too special, nothing too savvy. Just a short little vid to put out to YouTube, considering the fact that I had it uploaded in almost a week. But that's alright though. You know, Doug could have been so much more than just a minor character in Telltale's The Walking Dead. From his loyalty, potential growth, hell, even his intelligence made him stand out as a character, deserving of additional exploration. But unfortunately, whether you say Doug or Carley, Lily hating ass had other plans.
I can't handle this. There, I got him. Now, what the fuck's the problem? Ben! No!
Rest in peace to all my ops.
To know if anybody's actually back there. Probably get a better view from up top. You'd have an easier time getting up there. You feel like taking a look? It'd be just like climbing a treehouse.
What am I? A monkey?
Hey, you said it, not me.
Whoa, 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 whoa. From the moment Luke was introduced, he stands out as a capable, compassionate leader. But unlike others in the group, Luke consistently prioritizes the safety and well-being of others, especially Clementine. He helps rescue her in the early on in the season after that goddamn dog, you son of a bitch, and quickly became one of the most trusted figures in her life. Luke is often contrasted with Kenny, where Kenny is impulsive and prone to, you know, emotional outbursts. Luke is level-headed and pragmatic. You know, this dynamic sets him up as a viable and alternative leader, like basically like the second coming of Lee, but he's nowhere in Lee's level, let's be honest. But one could, you know, who could guide the group without even resorting to violence or emotional manipulation like Jay. Put that hoe. But despite this potential, the game never fully allowed Luke to actually step into that leadership role. He frequently finds himself overshadowed by Kenny's larger than life personality and the emotional baggage that comes with Kenny's art. Oh my god, Kenny. See, Kenny, it's a tough one. See, it's tough being a Kenny fan, because you got some that be like, oh, he's a crash out, he crazy. Then there's some that be like, oh, he got a family, he this and that. Look, man, look, can we all just be friends?
Hey, stop the violence. Hey, look at me. I can promise you, it's a bigger side of life. Stop the violence.
Luke is constantly put in a position where he must compromise his ideals for the sake of the group's survival, yet he never truly gets a chance to shine as a leader. The narrative leads heavily on Kenny's turmoil, pushing Luke's development to the sidelines. One of the most frustrating aspects of Luke's character is how little we get to know about his backstory. You know, he give us a little teensy pieces here and there about his father, and the fact that he went to college, which was with a stupid ass degree for art and shit. Man, he wasn't gonna do nothing with that degree. While we get glimpses of his life before the apocalypse, his struggles, regrets, and connections, they are often brief and lack depth. Luke's relationship with his former group members, especially Nick, is underdeveloped. Like, we see the tension and loyalty between them, but the game never like dives deep, into their history, leaving a lot of emotional potential on the table. Why was Luke so dedicated to Nick despite their obvious differences? You know, what shaped him into, you know, the compassionate leader that he is? Like, these questions are left unanswered, making Luke feel like a missed opportunity for deeper storytelling. I ain't gonna lie, season 2 as a whole, writing-wise, was just a goddamn mess. But back to topic. For a character that plays such a vital role in season 2, it's disappointing that Luke's backstory wasn't more fleshed out. You know, this lack of depth robbed him of the emotional connection that other characters like Kenny received in Shades. And then it's that scene that sparked it all for me. The scene that still to this day pisses me off because it could have been avoided. But now you got a little idiot on the goddamn group, and we all know what her name is, wanting to try to save the nigga even though he said step the fuck back.
Dummy. Yeah. Yeah. Dummy. Yeah. Yeah. Dummy. Yeah. Yeah.
Luke's death in The Walking Dead is one of the most controversial moments of the damn series, nigga. Damn! During the late scene, Luke falls through the ice, and despite Clementine's efforts to save him, he tragically drowns. This death felt unearned, like Luke had survived countless dangerous situations, showing time and time after again that he was resourceful and intelligent. Yet he meets his end in a situation where his survivor instincts failed his ass. Like, not due to personal mistakes or meaningful choice, but due to a moment of bad luck. What makes this worse is how quickly the group moves on from his death. Kenny and Jane's conflict takes center stage immediately after, and Luke's passing barely affects the rest of the story. For such a pivotal character, his death should have had a lasting impact on the group, particularly on Clementine, but instead it felt like his story was abruptly cut short, almost as if the writers didn't know how to resolve his arc. Luke deserved a more meaningful end, one that reflected his importance to the group and the role he played in Clementine's life. Not similar to Lee, but somewhat emotional or some shit like that, nigga. Like, his death was a missed opportunity for the game to actually explore themes of sacrifice and leadership. But I also heard was that the reason why the writers even wrote off Root to die anyway was because there was some weird ass niggers that was fucking shipping Luke with Clementine, man. Yeah, I can kind of understand why, but because that's weird. Like, that's weird ass niggers in this world. You gotta be careful. I will make this vid longer, but honestly, I'm not gonna waste y'all time. In the end, Luke was a character with so much potential. You know, he was the voice of reason in a world of chaos. A character who could have grown into an even greater leader if given a chance. You know, his compassion, his moral compass, and his dedication to the group set him apart. Yet the game never allowed him to actually reach his full potential. Introduced in Season 1, Episode 2, Mark was a new addition to the group at the motor end. As a former US Air Force employee, you know, he quickly proved his worth by sharing supplies and helping to secure the motel. But despite his promising setup, his time in the spotlight was short-lived. His role may have been brief, but that doesn't mean it was insignificant. Mark immediately stood out for his proactive approach and willingness to help the group. His arrival added a dynamic that brought more optimism and collaboration for the team. He was more than just a supply donor. He was a genuinely good person who believed in his group survival. One of Mark's most significant moments was when he stood up to Larry, questioning his aggression towards Lee. It showed us that Mark wasn't afraid to speak up when he saw something wrong. He demonstrated a sense of morality, which made it clear that, he wasn't just another background character. His voice in those moments added depth to the group's interactions and made, the internal conflicts more layered. But unfortunately, after hours and hours of waiting for this goddamn woman to get finished with the goddamn food, turns out there was a reason why it took a while for the food to get done.
To your legs, man. Don't eat dinner.
Fortunately, Mark's fate was sealed at the St. John Dairy Farm. In one of the most shocking twists of the season, Mark ends up as a victim of cannibalism. His legs were cut off while he was still alive, and the group unknowingly prepares to eat him. But, depending on your choice, we can't stop Cliff for eating him, but still. This grim turn served as a reminder of the honor and brutality of the world they were living in. But, come on, man, it also felt like, a waste potential for Mark's character too. But even in his last moments, Mark still showed remarkable courage and resilience. That man crawled down the stairs to warn the group, giving everything he had left in him, to protect the others. Mark's final act wasn't just about survival, it was about protecting the people he cared about. And he also got his get back even as a zombie when he got Brenda ass. Mark's death was brutal, unexpected, and perhaps one of the most horrific in the series. But the real tragedy was the lack of closure and recognition for his character. He didn't even get to go out in a blaze of glory or have a heartfelt goodbye. His character was used to shock and disturb, which while effective, but at the same time felt like a disservice to someone who could have brought, so much more to the narrative. Other fallen members of the group like Carley, Doug, or hell even Ben, received moments of reflection from the others. But with Mark, the group moved on almost instantly, as if his sacrifice was just another casualty of the apocalypse. This lack of recognition made Mark feel like an expendable plot device rather than a member of the team who deserved to be mourned. Mark may not have had a major role, but he showed us that even in the darkest times, people can still strive to do good, his dedication, bravery, and tragic, and deserve more recognition from the Walking Dead Telltale community. So here's to Mark, a character who despite his short screen time, made a lasting impression. He deserved better, and while we can't change his fate in the game, we can make sure he's not forgotten. When we first meet Carlos and Sarah, it's clear that they share a unique dynamic. Carlos is a protective father, and Sarah, well, she's like that one toxic girl. She's sheltered, naive, and fragile. Unlike Clementine, Sarah hasn't been prepared for the harsh realities of the world. But, how did it come to this? Carlos believes that shielding Sarah from the danger will keep her ass safe, which is dumb as fuck, but okay, do you her dad. But is that really the best way to protect her in a world like this? Hell no. From the beginning, Carlos set strict boundaries towards her. He repeatedly tells her to stay out of trouble and rely on him for survival. This overprotectiveness stems from, his love, but it also leaves Sarah ill-equipped to even handle this world in the first place. Unlike Clementine, who had learned how, to become self-reliant and learn the lessons of becoming self-reliant, Sarah remains dependent on her father all the time. Carlos's overprotectiveness is rooted in fear though. He knows Sarah is emotionally vulnerable and struggles with anxiety. But she's not mentally prepared to face the world on her own though. But his solution is to shelter her. You know, just keep her from learning the truth about what's really out there. That was stupid to even do it in the first place. And anyway, is this man really a goddamn doctor? Cause how the word can you not tell a walker bite from a dog bite? Make it make sense.
Dummy, yeah. Yeah. Dummy, yeah. Yeah. Dummy, yeah. Yeah.
By shielding her from the dangers, Carlos unintentionally stunts her development. Sarah doesn't even learn how to defend herself, nor even understand the full extent of the threat of what they got going on in the first place. This man tries to keep her in a bubble, in a relic of the old world where innocence could still be protected. But in The Walking Dead, ignorance is a death sentence. Just ask Kate. The moment Carlos dies is the turning point for Sarah. Everything she knows, her entire support system, is ripped away in an instant. Without her father, Sarah is completely lost. She literally just shuts down in the face of danger, paralyzed by fear and grief. And this is where Carlos' greatest failure becomes evident. By never allowing her to even face the smallest of challenges or dangers on her own, he basically robbed this little girl of the tools that she needs to survive without him. Man, that man was gone, and guess what? That girl ain't knew what to do. She was just sitting there crisscross applesauce. She did not care about nothing no more. When the time come for her to actually step up and save herself, it's not that she can't. She just didn't want to. She literally just sat there, and depending on your choice, you could have just left her as dead to die, or you could have saved her just for her to die later. Like the choice to even let her live or not, it don't even matter because she died either way. Like, the word is too overwhelming and too damn terrifying for her. Let me tell you something, it does not even matter. What was the point of even making that choice to save her anyway, just for her to die later on? That was so stupid. In the end, Sarah's fate is sealed by the very thing Carlos wanted to avoid: her inability to actually survive in this unforgiving world by herself. Carlos wanted to protect his daughter, and I respect that, but in doing so, he unintentionally doomed her. Contrast this with Clementine, who, despite her age, was taught to fend for herself, make tough decisions, and navigate the horrors of the apocalypse. That's why we all love Lee, man. Lee to go for real. But where Sarah, she was coddled. Clementine was forced to mature quickly, and while it was harsh, it was necessary for her survival. The tragedy of Sarah's story isn't just that she lost her father, it's the fact that she was never even given a chance to grow. Carlos's failure wasn't in loving Sarah too much, but in believing that he could actually protect her forever in a world overrun by walkers. Survival means adaptation, and adaptation means learning how to goddamn deal with fear, loss, and danger head on. It's a heartbreaking story, but it also teaches us something about parenting in a world where danger lurks around every corner. You can't always protect your loved ones from harm now, but you can give them the strength and tools to protect themselves just in case if your time comes, or hell, you might out of nowhere just get bitten, or hell, even get killed off early. Ultimately, Carlos failed Sarah, not because he didn't care about her, but because he cared too much about her. In his attempt to shield her from the world's horrors, he left her vulnerable to them. And in the world of The Walking Dead, being vulnerable means the difference between life and death. So RIP to Sarah and RIP to Carlos, but god dang it, Carlos, you failed your daughter, I'm sorry. Out of all the characters that I wish that could have been so much more, Omid is top 3 because this man could have been so much more than just a comedic relief character, due to the fact that Lee literally gave Christa and Omid the blessing to take care of Clementine after he dies. But instead they just killed his ass off at the beginning of season 2.
What a bozo.
Oh, no.
Like, they didn't even give bro the chance to get any type of development. They just killed this nigga off for no fucking reason. And then what makes it worse is that they killed his wife off screen. Didn't even give her a chance to develop either. They did them both dirty. And it sucks because their relationship was touching, even though I hate Christa a little bit. But at the same time, they didn't even fully explore their relationship, nor their backstory, leaving questions unanswered. They could have been good full-fledged characters for Clementine, but instead they just killed them both off. And if it was for shot value, I'll give them that because they shot the frick out of me. me. While some, for some reason, praised his death for setting the bleak tone and forcing Clementine's growth, to be honest, it was unnecessary because it robbed the story of a character with significant potential. It seemed likely that Omid could have been so much of a central figure, offering more of a richer narrative depth and emotional renaissance, because this early death, while impactful, while it may be one of the saddest moments of the franchise, it does leave a sense of what if. What if he never died? What if he survived? Hell, to be honest with you, he could have had taken the role of Javi for season 3, if you're asking me. He ended up joining Lee's group during a train blockage scenario, showing eagerness to collaborate, unlike Christa's initial caution, which was the reason why I didn't like Christa in the first place before I found out she was pregnant. After Lee's death, Omid and Christa take on the role of Clementine's guardians, promising to protect her as Lee would have. His reliability and empathy are noted, such as helping with tasks like operating the fucking train and reassuring Lee during critical moments. Meanwhile, Kenny bitch ass was in his feelings about it, and just by Kenny being in his feelings, it literally created one of the most infamous memes.
Is this nigga serious?
Even Berlizzi got tired of his goddamn emotional ass. But anyway, Omid's presence is marked by his ability to bring light to dark situations. His interactions, such as teaching Clementine survival skills while providing emotional support, are brief but impactful at the same time. If you guys were paying attention, you can note that Lee mentioned Omid as Clementine's favorite, underscoring his importance despite limited screen time. His death scene where Christa holds him in her arms as he died is cited as one of the most saddest moments, but I ain't gonna cap with you, they did that nigga dirty. Omid's brief appearance left a lasting impact, with people mourning his loss and speculating on what could have been. His death was enhancing due to the gang's emotional death, but it was a point of debate because seeing it so soon was unnecessary in my opinion, because I feel like there could be progression that could have grown between Omid and Christa together as a couple while taking care of Clementine. Hell, what if Omid and Christa was there when Clementine ended up meeting Kenny for the first time in Lord knows how long? They could have answered questions, asked questions to Kenny like how the fuck he survived after shooting Ben in the head and running away. Stuff like that could have happened if Omid and Christa did not die. They did them both dirty, and it doesn't make sense because you kill Omid and then kill Christa off screen. That just does not make sense. These two deserve better, to be honest with you. Christa rolls up into season 1 episode 3 with Omid, aka her chill boyfriend, and immediately started acting like she got a PhD in a zombie apocalypse. Like, girl, sit your behind down somewhere, and don't even get me started with that scene where she literally told Lee that, I hope you know what you're doing with that girl. Like we trying to groom Clementine, like we trying to rape her or something. Like, girl, that sounded so weird coming from you. Like, we just met you, we don't even know you. We don't even know you like that. Don't you ever question the GOAT of Lee Everett. Don't you ever question him about that ever again. You don't know the horrors that he been through. That man literally witnessed the death of Sean. Clementine literally went through the horrors throughout the St. John dairy farm. And depending on your choice, we literally witnessed the death of Katja, who literally offed herself. And then depending on your choice, either Kenny or Lee has to take Duck out. We literally went through the horrors of the horrors. Don't you ever question Lee Everett about that ever again, talking about some, oh, I hope you know what you're doing with her. Like, girl, we don't even know you like that. We don't even know you. Like we grooming the child. Girl, we've been taking care of that child since the beginning. We've been taking care of that child. Like, she walk around with that I got it all figured out attitude, and suddenly you are giving Lee and Clementine the side eye like they are the problem. Girl, Lee's been out here keeping this child alive while you probably sipping some inspired behind coffee with Omid and some abandoned diner. Now let's talk about her attitude though, cause Christa has this knack for making you feel like every choice you make as Lee is the wrong one. You try to save somebody, she judging. You prioritize Clementine, she judging harder, especially with that walkie-talkie to myself. Oh, that walkie-talkie been working and you ain't saying nothing? Like, girl, you don't need to know nothing. You don't need to know nothing. Like, there's like this moment where she questions you how you are handling Clem, and I'm seeing her like, girl, I be keeping this child fed, I be keeping this child safe and emotionally stable in a zombie apocalypse. What's your contribution? Like, her whole vibe is like that one friend who critiques your cooking, but she brings nothing to the table. Like, girl, how about you get up in this goddamn stove, you cook or something? And don't get me started with her fucking usefulness or their lack of, cause Lee's out here fighting walkers, making possible more decisions, and teaching Clementine how to survive while Christa just there. Like, what does she actually do? Omid's at least got some charm and cracked some few jokes to lighten up the mood, while Christa is just looming in the background, ready to drop another I'm disappointed in you ass stare. Like in a game where every character needs to pull their weight, Christa's out here pulling nothing but my patience, and I have a whole low level of it. Okay, maybe I am being a little too harsh, but Christa, she just hits my nerve because she represents that person we've all met. The one who thinks they got it all figured out, and wants to think they got all the answers, but doesn't actually do nothing. In a game where every choice feels like life or death, her constant judgment feels like a betrayal. Carley is trying his best, Clementine's just a child, and Christa's out here acting like she's just the moral compass of the apocalypse. It's just infuriating because I just want to play the damn game without feeling like I'm failing her vibe check every 5 minutes. Christa just makes my blood boil. Is she the worst character in the game? Nah, but she is the most annoying though. She is, I ain't gonna lie. Shrek.